Welcome, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're joining us from. We're going to get started here in just a few moments. But as folks join us this morning, please do go ahead and use the chat to introduce yourselves. We're excited that you're joining us today for this really great webinar. And we're going to go ahead and get right started. So again, good morning. Welcome to today's webinar. We are here to celebrate the impact of NCBA CLUSA's USAID and McCormick funded sustainable vanilla for people and nature activity in Madagascar. My name is Liz, and I have a few housekeeping items to share before we get started today. So first off, again, thank you for joining us. We have an hour together this morning with 15 or so minutes reserved for audience Q&A. So please do ask your questions throughout the webinar by typing them into the chat box or using the Q&A function. Our team will monitor that conversation on the back end and do our best to get to as many of your questions as possible. This webinar is being recorded, so you'll have the opportunity to share it with your networks, and you can look for that recording in your inbox next week, along with a French version of today's presentation. And speaking of French, simultaneous interpretation in French is available for this webinar. If you want to access that and listen in French with us today, you're going to go ahead and look for the interpretation icon at the bottom of your Zoom screen. It looks like a little globe icon. Click on that and you'll be able to select the French option for today's webinar. And reach out in the chat if you have any issues accessing that feature. Okay, so let's get started. To kick things off for us today, I'd like to introduce our monitor for today's webinar, our moderator for today's webinar, Ryan Roberish. Ryan is Senior Manager of Enterprise Development at NCBA CLUSA, and he's Acting Director of our Resilience Practice Area. So Ryan, let's get started. And Ryan, you are on mute.
Sorry. Thank you, Liz, and good morning and good afternoon to all of our participants. I'd like to quickly just talk about the agenda for today. So first, we're going to have a presentation given by Zueli Ramanase, who is the project director of the Sustainable Vanilla for People and Nature project in Madagascar. It's about a 15-minute presentation, followed by I'll introduce our other panelists and have a discussion about the results and the lessons learned from this project. That'll be another 15 minutes, and then at the end we will reserve the final 15 minutes for questions and answers from our participants. So as Liz mentioned, please do put your questions in the chat, and then we will take those at the end. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Zueli Ramanase, our project director from Madagascar for the Sustainable Vanilla for People and Nature, also known with by its local name Mafatoky, who is going to give us a presentation on the results and the lessons learned. So take it away, Zueli.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Liz. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, depending where you are following this webinar. My name is Zueli Ramanase. I'm the Mafatoky Sustainable Vanilla for People and Nature Project Director in Madagascar. Today, I'm pleased to present you the achievement and lessons learned from the 3.5-year experience in building farmer resilience and protecting sustainable vanilla. Mafatoky is a project co-financed by USAID and McCormick Global Ingredient. It's a project supporting vanilla producers to contribute in biodiversity conservation and natural resource management through sustainable vanilla production. NCBA's role is to provide technical assistance for the co-op in implementing the program description. With the financial support from USAID, McCormick is responsible for the financial assistance for input and other cost share. They are also in charge of buying certified vanilla, and the local exporter are the supplier of certified vanilla, provide health material for COP, and provide as well the certification training. What's Mafatoky SVPN's goal? Mafatoky goals is to create a win-win trilogy for vanilla producer, the global buyer, and the landscape where the vanilla are produced. Just a short presentation of where we are. We were based in the northeast of Madagascar, within one region. Sava region is the world capital for vanilla production. The theory of change for the project was based on the following. If the project improved the resilience of vanilla producers, cooperative members, by increasing their sales of certified vanilla to the global buyer, then they will become steward to the environment and natural resource protection. Let me explain you the reality of vanilla production. Vanilla is a high value crops. Once their price is going up, it is a good source of income that can help producers to have potential saving. Unfortunately, if not accompanied by management training, it may even lead to debt, and it is a source of cutting down more forests to increase their vanilla plots to earn even more. On the other hand, once the vanilla price is low, the producer's livelihood is tremendously affected. No school, no food, and they return to Mother Nature to fill the gap. In any case, then, the natural resources are always affected. That leads Mafatoky tailored its intervention according to this context. We have improved the quality of vanilla by setting the certification. We have promoted as well activity by increasing saving through VSLA linked to the microfinance, promote activity by diversifying incomes. That leads to environment and natural resource protection. Now, let me explain you how was the strategic approaches we have used. Mafatoky got 3 strategic approaches. The first one was to increase production of high quality certified vanilla and to ensure sustainable landscape. For this strategic approach, we supported the maintaining of the vegetation cover by promoting farmer-managed natural regeneration and increasing the superficie of forest cover managed by the cooperative member. On the other hand, we have support farmers to maintaining their certification and quality of their vanilla product. As a result, as you can see on the screen, we have improved double from fiscal year 2020 to fiscal year 2023, the sale of certified vanilla. The same for carbon sequestrated. We have planted more than 400,000 tree seedlings. We have set in place more than 70 FMNR sites and send into river more than 15,000 fish fingerlings. You can appreciate the photos of people for the implementing activity under SA1. Now, for strategic approach 2, this is to improve resilience of farmer and their family. As explained earlier, the strategic approach has 2 main goals: increasing saving with management training that includes setting in place VSLA for producer organization and co-ops, and as well to increase the source of income, promoting diversification source like fish farming, poultry farming, cooperative rice granary. As a result, we have supported more than 300 farmer cooperative members to take loan during the lean season with a microfinance. 4,000 beneficiaries on health mutual, more than 40 tons of paddy rice. Also, to increase income at household level, we have set in place 45 very select groups that were able to save more than 55 million MGA savings in 2023. And we have more than 400 small poultry farming as well, almost around 1,000 fish farmers who can, earn money apart from vanilla production. I appreciate the photos as well for the strategic approach 2. Now we are going to move to the strategic approach 3, strengthening farmer organization and cooperatives. The objective for SA3 were to strengthening cooperative governance and financial management, to improve cooperative relationship with other stakeholders, local authorities, exporters, other cooperatives. And we were evaluating their maturity in terms of environmental protection, vanilla production, resilience, and cooperative business. As a result, we have increased the women participation into the project from 10% to 64%. We as well increased the business ratio from 23% to 70% by the end of the project. We have more than 880 institutions improve their capacity to address sustainable landscape, and the number of members benefiting from services and resource delivered through cooperatives have doubled during the course of the project. In terms of evaluation, we have used the scoring methods using environmental protection, vanilla quality, income generating activities that decrease expenses, farmer organization, and cooperative business. So we have put 3 categories. Category 1 is the red one. Those needs improvement. When they fall under category yellow, they are satisfactory. However, they still need mentorship and more monitoring. And once they fall under the green category, that means that those can really ensure mentorship to those behind in red or yellow category. So as a result, in terms of evaluation, as we can appreciate on the screen, we have seen evolution of those producer organization category, 67% in September 2022 to 78% in September 2023. So those green category are able to mentor those falls under yellow and red category. Now we are moving to lessons learned. The first lesson learned was the impact of vanilla crisis. As we can appreciate on the slide, we have recorded a decrease in economic benefit for the farmer members, cooperative members, from 5,000 in fiscal year 2021 to less than 1,000 in 2023. However, in terms of cooperative governance, the percentage remains the same, 75% roughly, because cooperative provides support to help their member to be resilient faced to the vanilla crisis, such as they provide the inputs like chicks or fingerlings or beehives. So all of those diversification encourage members to believe that the co-ops is still applying good governance. The third point we have noticed was the increase of fire points within the area of intervention, and that is heavily identified for non-member opposed to member. Lessons learned for essay 1. The effect of climate change make easy to persuade co-ops to engage in environmental effort. As the project as well, we have applied a very simple and inclusive way of hands-on training, so many participants can understand what we want to convey and how to adopt those training. And that really helped farmers to be involved in environmental activity. Lessons learned for essay 2. The VSLA initiative was really appreciated by farmers in their challenge faced to the vanilla crisis. The income diversification as well were seen to be very important, as it will complement, they are complementing vanilla cultivation and vanilla production that match local resources, skills, and environment. The third lessons learned, we have noticed that cooperative rice granary has built the cooperative to have more good financial management as well as transparency. The lessons learned for essay 3, we can say that good cooperative governance is always the basis of empowered cooperatives. Exchange visits were very important for cooperative members, as it will build their confidence for them, their knowledge, as well as their networking. And finally, we have applied the mentorship between the cooperative. So that really played a vital role in the growth and success of cooperative who are mentored, as well as those who played the mentor. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Zoeli, for that presentation. I'd like now to introduce our other two panelists. We have Gabriel Saracen, who is the Director of Sustainability and Technology at McCormick and Company. And we have also with us today Serge Ramanantsua, Project Management Specialist and Climate Integration Lead at USAID Madagascar. So welcome, Serge and Gabriel. I would like to, I have some questions we'll start off with. The first question will go to you, Gabriel. McCormick and Company invests a significant amount of money into programs like SVPN in Madagascar and other countries around the world, when it could simply purchase sustainable certified vanilla and other spices on the open market without making these large investments. Why does McCormick do this? What's in it for McCormick?
Thanks, Ryan, thanks for the questions. And before answering, obviously, I would like to thank Zoeli for the great presentation she just gave, and thanks NCBA CLUSA and USAID for this great collaboration on Mafatoky, and finally thanking everyone who is also attending this session. Right, so To answer your question, I need to give a bit more context about McCormick and our sustainability commitments. So I will do that first, and then I will answer your question. So McCormick is a global leader in flavor. We operate in two segments: consumer business, so our brands on shelves, and flavor solutions, that's the business to business. So we provide flavor and we inspire healthy choices across the globe. We have a proud legacy of doing what's right for the people, the communities where we live, work, and source, and the planet we all share. Our purpose-led performance, PLP, principle is an expression of this legacy, and that's our ongoing commitment to deliver top-tier financial performance while doing what's right. So in 2017, we introduced a series of sustainability commitment and clear performance target for 2025 that are aligned with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Our own goals are clearly aligned to these, globally recognized objectives, because obviously as a company, we have a responsibility to contribute solutions for some of the world's most pressing issues. So one of our purpose-led performance commitment is to sustainably source 100% of our iconic herbs and spices, which includes vanilla, and that for all our brands by 2025. We have other PLP goals, which include improving the resiliency of the farmers that are growing these raw materials, piloting an approach to women empowerment, and reducing our greenhouse gas emissions toward net zero by 2050. Now, to answer your question, while buying certified products in the open market could have helped achieve our sustainable sourcing goal in the short term, this will have been, transactional and will not necessarily have ensured security of supply over the long term, and will not contribute to our other sustainability goals. To deliver on our commitment, we need to engage in the long term with our farmer networks and our strategic suppliers. As you might know, this requires significant value chain transformation and a paradigm shift in the way we source and the way they source our suppliers. So it requires significant investment, as you indicated, as well as expertise to support our strategic suppliers in that transformation. So we invested jointly with USAID on the Sustainable Vanilla for People and Nature, the Mafatoky project, to complete that supply chain transformation that is so critical to meet our sustainable sourcing goal, build resilient supply chains, and improve the lives of the farmer growing our raw material and the health of the planet we all share. So that is why we have invested so much. This is critical for us to meet our sustainability goals. That we're a publicly traded company. Those goals have been shared to publicly, and this is something we are deeply engaged in delivering against. I hope that answers your question.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Gabriel. The next question is going to be for you, Serge. Co-funding Mafatoky SVPN is under the Global Development Alliance, which many people may be familiar with. It's a public-private partnership. But as you know, public-private partnerships, co-funding and co-implementing a project with the private sector can sometimes be challenging, can be complicated at times. Why did USAID choose the public-private partnership model to implement Mafatoky when it could have funded and implemented the project by itself? And
Thank you.
I'm sorry, the moderator is asking me to please speak more slowly, including myself, so that the interpreter can catch up a bit. And Zoeli, if you could stop sharing your screen with the presentation, that would help as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Zoeli. Thank you, Gabriel. So good morning, good evening, everyone. The working with private sector is a kind of policy that USAID started in 2017 through, we call it the private sector engagement policy. It's a kind of a new orientation that the USAID tried to promote with US and Malagasy private sectors who have kind of insight, thought, concerns, and who need to have a kind of sustainable activities and try to preserve the biodiversity and the landscape. So the main reason why USAID promote this way of doing things is we are know and we recognize that currently uh, by collaborating and taking advantage of resources, skills, expertises, we can solve problems together that no one of us could solve alone. So this is a kind of new perception from USAID, and that drive to this way of doing things. The main important of this methodology is the co-creation process. So USAID bring on the table not only the money but the expertise on how to strengthen, how to support, how to assist technically the local communities, the farmers, also the local government, because this is the main approach for USAID. And the private sector is come with their expertise, for example, on the certification, on how to improve the quality of the product, such as the vanilla. So we noticed that the main piece of connection between private sector and USAID is the biodiversity and the sustainability of the activities. So we think that working alone it's good, but it's not enough. But if we want to go far and maintain the dynamic and the sustainability of the activities, because do not forget that USAID money is the taxpayer money. So we need to think very deeply on how to make it sustainable as impact in terms of effects, in terms of benefits, and a lot of those value that we really try to convey and to share. Thank you. I don't know if I answer you very well, or do you need some additional elements?
Very well, thank you, Serge. I'm going to pose the next question to Zoeli. Zoeli, as many development practitioners know, many projects achieve great results during the time that they are implemented and funded, but soon as the project ends, they tend to fade away, and their impacts, unfortunately, can tend to disappear. Do you think that Mafatoky's achievements will continue after the project has ended? And if so, how and why? You're muted, Zoeli. Zoeli, you're still muted. We can't hear you.
Hello,
Okay.
Can you hear me? Okay. The name of the project is Sustainable Vanilla for People and Nature. So at the beginning of the project, we were already think about the sustainability. For that, the collaboration with private sector, first of all, is a key, because after the project, the private sector, I mean, the local exporter are still there, and they are going to continue to buy certified vanilla, to do, some or even most all of the activity we started. And the second point that I'm really convinced, and I'm sure that the activity will be sustainable, we were working with what we called local experts. They are local technicians from the co-ops at the even at the real beginning of the project, you know, for instance, when we did the baseline analysis, we didn't ask for a company to come over. We used those local experts to do all the survey. So at the real beginning, we use their expertise, and they are involved in the program, in the project, so they understood where to go, how to do it. And one thing that I'm really convinced is as well, they really change mind. For instance, as I mentioned for SA1, at the beginning, it was a bit difficult. No, I mean, to speak about environment for those co-ops was something new for them. They understood that they need to protect this, the landscape, to protect the environment. However, they don't know how to do it. So those are the things, I mean, as I've mentioned as well into the presentation, we try to be very simple on and hands-on training, simple training, inclusive training. So everybody, every cooperative member can participate, and they adopted all the techniques that we try to promote. And as you have seen the result for VSLA, for instance, the number of adoption rates are very encouraging. So if there are many Mafatoky and many collaboration with private sector, I think that's really the key way for sustainability.
Thank you, Zoeli. And I would just add that I believe that the existence of these cooperatives, which are then organized into cooperative unions with, I think, total over 4,000 members between the two cooperative unions that we worked with. Many of them existed before the project started. We helped build them up, we helped strengthen them, and they're independently operated, democratically governed institutions with members who pay dues. I think that's also evidence of the sustainability. They'll continue to operate there and engage with the private sector suppliers who buy the vanilla from them. So I have another question for you, Gabriel. What advice would you give to USAID Madagascar as it designs the next generation of projects to address the problems of poverty, deforestation, and biodiversity conservation in northeastern Madagascar, which is, as Zoeli mentioned, you know, the world capital of vanilla production?
Okay, thanks, Ryan. I'm going to start a bit slower also for the sake of translation this time. To answer that question, I will echo what Serge has said regarding collaboration and going further when we work together. So my advice to USAID will obviously be to continue working with the private sector, and that not only during the project implementation of not only during the implementation step of the project, but really from the design phase, as it has been the case for this project. And I think that's why this project has been successful, is because we, from step one, sat around the table together to design it. And it was really well aligned with our objectives, with the commercial piece, with the sustainability piece, and with the USAID priorities as well. So we were really able to put something together that was really overlapping everybody's interest. In my previous career, I've worked with NGOs for about 8 years in different African countries, including Madagascar, and I've witnessed, you know, countless donor-funded projects, USAID and others, that they delivered on project target during the time of the project, but then they collapsed on themselves as soon as the project funding ended. And I'm sure we all witnessed this kind of project. So this project generally were based on a flawed assumption for the continuities of the activities, most of the time due to a disconnect or a misunderstanding of the market systems. Stronger partnerships, I think, with the private sector in the design, award, and implementation of the projects funded by USAID can bring that market knowledge that might be missing either at USAID or the implementing agency level. So we together can bring that market knowledge, market expertise piece to it, the commercial piece to it, that really strengthen the project design and ensure its continuity. When these projects are anchored on private sector partnership, such as this value chain consolidation achieved through the Mafatoky project, we can see the project activities continuing seamlessly when the donor stop funding them. We, McCormick, have been buying vanilla for over 130 years. We will likely, I hope, be still there buying a lot of vanilla in 130 years from now. And those supply chain, those relationships we have established through Mafatoky will continue. We will continue buying vanilla from those co-op, from those suppliers, hopefully, and then be able to keep strengthening that system, and especially continuing all the great work we have been achieving together. And we understand this vision is also shared by USAID, as Serge has said before in his previous comments, but also as Samantha Power, the USAID administrator, explained during our COP26 remarks, where she cited a collaboration with McCormick as an example of good practices and collaboration with the private sector. So we're very proud to be working collaboratively with USAID since over 30 years across the world to build sustainable supply chain, improve the livelihoods of farmers, and protect the environment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gabriel, for that. I'm going to move quickly here because I want to make sure that we have time for participant questions at the end. The next question is for you, Serge. As the AOR for Mafatoky, I know that you personally made the long and difficult journey to the project area in the Andapa district, which involves a 2-day journey involving planes, motorcycles, and walking on foot. And you saw with your own eyes the challenges that are faced by the producers, as well as the environmental challenges. So I'd like to ask you that after Mafatoky, what do you believe are the most significant challenges that remain to be addressed in the project area?
So I would say that 3 main things. The first one is, of course, the road. We need to improve the road. The second thing, we noticed that it started to have a kind of stress hydric issues in this area, especially in Douani. So maybe this kind of situation drives maybe by the climate change need to be considered for the next and for the future. We noticed that the mayors, the farmers, the cooperatives members, the the local experts say that there is a kind of a gap of water year by year. So I assume that it's gonna be a kind of issue for this region and also for the vanilla especially. The third thing I would say is the quality of the expertise, which means that how to keep the dynamic and the quality of the technical assistance provided by the local experts to the cooperatives members, to the producer organizations, and also maybe for the region and the district, because during the closed session, we heard and we said that those local experts can be used by the region, by the district, if the farmers from other areas would need this kind of technical assistance. So how to maintain this dynamic and this quality of technical assistance? And maybe also it's really from us. The last thing I would say, that 3 years, it's not normally enough. We would need something like 5 years and up to make it really in a stable situation after the project. Thank you.
Thank you, Serge. We can talk about doing another project extension after the webinar if you'd like. The next question is for you, Zoe. What do you think is the most important and most durable change that Mafatoky has made?
Most durable and most, can you repeat, please? Most
The
durable?
most important and most lasting change or
Okay.
impact that Mafatoky has had.
Okay. Many, but the most one, I would say, the change in the way the co-ops is collaborating with the exporter. You know, at the beginning, they think always that they are not partner of the private sector, of the exporter. They are like suppliers. But while we train them and we help them to understand, as Gabrielle said, this market system, once they understand that, of course, it's not maybe there, but at least they try to understand that. And during the crisis, once we explain them that it's not the exporter issue nor the buyer issue, it's really the international market. Then that's why they were taking the offer about diversification, because they say vanilla is good, it's a good crops, they can earn from vanilla, but there is a time, it is not the good time or the good place, but they have to do other income resources. So I think that is for me the most important. It's not easy to get there. However, I think that also can lead to sustainability, because they now, even after the project, they can always talk with the local exporter. Because, you know, if they don't have this good relationship, maybe after the project, they say, oh, off as well. But now they can still work in and talking and discuss with those local exporters. The second thing is, as Serge said, the experts local, the local experts, because to have a sustainability, you have to have the income source, the technology. So expert local is one way to build the knowledge and technology within the co-op. But I definitely agree with Serge. We still need to continue supporting them to improve the quality of their technical assistance to the member. So expert local is definitely one way as well, I think, was an important achievement for Mafatoky.
Thank you, Zoe. I'll ask one more question of you, Gabriel, and then I think we can take some of the questions. I see them coming through in the chat. So I'd just ask you the same question, Serge. What, in your opinion, is the most important or most lasting change or impact that Mafatoky has had?
Are you asking Serge or me?
Gabriel, you.
Okay.
Sorry.
Right. So, as I said, I mean, the implication of the private sector in that design, in the design and of the project helped to bring that market perspective. At the time when we were sitting together to design this project, price of vanilla was at what, $500, $600 a kilo, and we made clear at this time that this was not going to last, and that sooner or later price will collapse, will decline, as they did last time in 2005, and that farmers will be the most impacted of all. In anticipation, we purposely designed with NCBA CLUSA and USAID activities to protect the farmers against declining vanilla prices, including many of what Zweli told us about: income diversification, healthcare insurance system, access to finance, village saving and lending association, rice granaries to help farmers during the lean season with food security, revolving fund, and so on. In addition, we have also designed systems to prevent the ecological degradation that usually comes with declining farmer incomes as they turn to natural forests, either through slash and burn paddy rice cultivation or charcoal production. The project created a monitoring system of the fire in the area while establishing rice granary to prevent the need for paddy rice land extension into forests, and promoting farmer-managed natural regeneration. So farmers also receive, obviously, a price premium for participating in the conservation of natural habitat, which is indeed verified by third parties during the certification process. So finally, I think the project helped to strengthen the relationship with our commercial partners in Madagascar and between them and the farmers to help tackle these challenges. So I believe all those changes that were made through Mafatoky project helped to prepare the farmers to the next vanilla price cycle and to mitigate the negative impacts. So that was, in my view, the most important changes from the project. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Gabriel. Now I think Liz has some questions from the audience that she's going to ask.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan. So we have some really great questions from our audience. Feel free to keep adding those in the chat or the Q&A box as they come to you. But let's start with this one on women's participation in the project. So this person is commenting that women's participation was really impressive. And she asked, can you talk a little bit how you were able to foster this, particularly given gender norms and women's economic empowerment can be quite sticky in parts of Madagascar?
Yeah, and I would ask Zoeli if you could respond to that question.
Excuse me, can you rephrase the question, please, Ryan?
She's asking about gender integration in the project and what was the process for doing that in Mafatoky, since it can be gender roles can be very difficult and challenging in parts of Madagascar. And I know it was a challenge in the beginning with very low participation, women's participation rates. So how did you address that?
Yeah, thank you. There was, I would say, 3 points. First of all, we have increased the part, and not we, the co-ops, women participation has increased due to the most important activity they love was the VSLA activity. Since VSLA, I mean Village Saving and Loans, is a local saving, and the main group member were women. So even though they are not directly the co-op member, they could be, you know, the family of the co-op member or the young adult child of the co-op member. So that is really attracted the women participation into the project. The second point was also the activity of diversification. When we did the study for alternative of value chain, we have identified four main value chain. The first one was poultry farming. The second one was fish farming. The third one, beekeeping, and the fourth one, rice granary. So poultry farming was main activity for women. So women participation in poultry farming as well has increased the participation of women within the project. And the third point are their main activity as a good player for vanilla activity. Women are the main active during the pollination of vanilla. So those three main activity has, we didn't really do a big strategy or so on and so forth. That, as I told you, all Mafatoky activity was very simple, hands-on training, and something that can adopted by the beneficiaries.
Thank you, Zoeli. Liz, you have another question from the audience?
Sure, yeah, and picking up on a thread you just mentioned, Zoeli, we do have a question to dig a little bit more deeply into the training approach that was used for cooperatives and producers at Mafatoky. And so this person is asking whether it was done by project or local actors, and how sustainable do you think that training curriculum will be going forward?
I think Zoeli is probably the best person to answer that question, unless either Serge or Gabriel want to take a stab at it. I know that Zoeli was the hands-on, a very hands-on active director who made the journey many times and spent a lot of time in the project area. So go ahead, Zoeli.
Yeah. Can you rephrase again the question, please?
I think the question, yeah, Liz?
Sure. Sure, Zoeli. So this person is asking if you can talk a little bit more about the training approach for cooperatives and vanilla producers, and how sustainable you think that approach will be going forward.
Okay. As I said earlier, when we did our baseline analysis, we used a local expert. And from that first experience, we have asked the producer organization to identify a key person who can play the role of a local expert within their producer organization. And then from that, we train those we called local experts with any types of topics from tree nursery, community mapping, VSLA, all the diversification activities. So those are then definitely the key technical point of the producer organization. And once they get trained, they have to set in place their own, what we call vitrine. How to say that in English? It's a showcase of the techniques. And from that showcase, he can bring the member of his producer organization to see how to do it. And the member can take from him the knowledge and adapt, or, and there is a kind of, I didn't want to say the farmer to farmer, but it is mainly farmer to farmer approach.
Yeah.
And when you say how to really ensure a sustainability of that, that is the way, definitely, how to ensure a sustainability. Because, for instance, I can give an example. One lady who has set in place different groups of VSLA was bring to one zone to another to set other groups of VSLA in the new zones of the project. And then, her VSLA group has been surpassed by the new group she has set in place. Those are the kind of mentoring I was talking about. So this lady can transfer her knowledge to other groups, And those new groups can as well translate their knowledge to other new groups. The same for poultry farming, for fish farming. And another great example that I think was a success as well, we got a union of co-ops within the first zone we were. And last year, the other zones were asking the project that we need to have a union of co-ops as well. And what we did is we took the co-op leaders to the new zone. They talked between them, and the project was just there to facilitate the connection and all the paperwork, but all the knowledge was transferred from those local experts and the co-op leader from the first zone. I would like to say that the first zone has started earlier than the second zone. So it's going between it's farmer to farmer or co-op to co-op.
Thank you, Zweli. I think we have time for one more question for you, Serge. Liz, would you like to ask the question?
Sure, Serge. So this question is about farm natural resource management. The person asking the question is saying that they were surprised and happy to see how well the project handled this, where farmers were actively protecting the forest on their farm and coordinating with their neighbors in this process. And so they're just asking if you can talk a little bit more about how the project prioritized protecting forest land.
Thank you. So, how to prioritize the protecting forest? This is the reason why we need the certification and to maintain the certification, because as you know, the certified farmers, product and organizations required at least 4 things. The first one is not use chemical entrants. Second one, not use fire. A third one, not ban the child labor. The fourth one is about not going in the forest to extend the vanilla field, and the last one is to how to clean. So in terms of wash water, hygiene and management, how to maintain the field and the product clean. So certification is the number one, I think, a must that we need to consider. The second thing is about always the technical assistance from the local expert. We call it here in let's say USAID jargon, localization. So how to improve and strengthen the local individuals and organization to raise the voice and also to raise their own strength and to scale up this way of doing things. So that's why I keep saying that local expert is very important, and those local experts are within the cooperatives. So there is a kind of farmers to farmers assistance, but also, for example, if we would like to insert new things to product or to treat or to proceed the vanilla. For example, we work with our of a project, the HITO project, USAID HITO project, to support cooperatives on sustainable vanilla reference. So those local experts is playing a very important role to spread the knowledge through the vitrine and also through the experience exchanges between cooperatives. So I would say that certification first, local expert second, and the last one is the advocacy. So the advocacy, I would say that once they got this knowledge, they can raise the voice, they can have a discussion, negotiation with exporters, even with the government. Don't forget that 2 years ago, it's through the cooperatives that mobilize all the other cooperatives to convoy the minimum price of green vanilla that has been accepted by the government. So this way of strengthening and raising voice of the local communities as an organization is very important in my sense. I don't know if I answer your question correctly.
I think you answered it well, in my opinion, Serge. And unfortunately, we've run out of time. I'm sure we could talk for a lot longer, and there's lots of other questions. But that's all we have time for today. So I just want to take this opportunity to once again thank all of the panelists for making yourselves available today and participating. I'd like to also thank all the participants for joining us this morning, this afternoon, this evening, wherever you are. It's been great to have your participation, and also thank you to Liz for helping us to organize this webinar. Thank you all, and have a good rest of your day.
Thank you,
So
Ryan. Thanks, everyone.